love to invite up on the stage. Where's Nick? Nick Sertis is over there. Here he's coming. He's going to talk about leveraging AI and social media for property portals. Because remember, one thing is searching on the portal site, but then there's a whole bunch of people who are searching off-site. And actually, one example around sale of property, I think I may have mentioned it earlier. I was doing a little bit of work for a company in Uzbekistan, of all places. I struggled to put it on a map, to put it bluntly. But we were chatting, and I was talking about sort of the sale of property. And 60% of sales of property are done via Telegram. The marketing of the property is via Telegram rather than by the portals themselves. Wow. So that's an example of where it's not just all about the portal itself, but it's also a world beyond the portal. So there you go, Nick. There's your intro.
Thanks, Simon. Great. Just to get started, we're going to be talking, as Simon said, about leveraging both AI, social, and also off-network advertising across multiple channels. I'm just going to start with a quick video of our solution, and then I'll get into that a little bit more.
Looper Automate's powerful middleware automatically extends your advertising listings off-network and at scale in just a few minutes. We start by integrating our platform into the standard booking process in your marketplace ad booking system. Advertisers are then able to select from a few off-network ad packages to run their listings across Facebook, Instagram, and the global programmatic networks to your first-party data. We then connect to various advertising platform APIs to book the campaign across display, social, and more. The upgraded listings are processed through our Looper engine to automatically generate the creative to save you time. Your users are then exposed to these boosted listings wherever they go online and driving audience back to your site. Our advanced reporting system allows us to track your customers' campaigns and report on them to both you and the client. Automate hundreds of thousands of listings off network with a push of a button using our powerful Automate retargeting engine. Looper Automate. Engage, amplify, monetize.
Yeah, so just a little background. So we started Signify and Looper Automate. We released that solution to market about 10 years ago. Since then, we've been taking that across all the marketplaces, lots of marketplaces, including some in the room today around the world. Underneath our solution is a performance agency, so we come from a very strong performance background and then have built the technology to be able to then put that into the classified space and generating obviously lots of improvements in terms of performance. So when we talk about the social effect and driving performance uplift, the property marketplaces, obviously, a lot of you in the room, can have significant gains by virtue of running your campaigns beyond what's actually on site. In terms of, this is more about a reach rather than a frequency play. So this is not about showing listings to people that have already been to your site and seen them. This is about broadening the reach to people that are looking for those exact type of listings and may not have seen them on your site, or brand new people in terms of prospecting for new audiences and new eyeballs and driving that traffic back to those individual listings. Obviously, there's two types of audiences. The active audience, they're the people that are coming to your site, your first-party data, which can be leveraged in this off-network play. But also there's the passive audiences. So they're all the people that have actually starting to think about or haven't thought about just yet or haven't come to your site and made a search. And now we're actually showing them relevant listings to what they might be looking for. So let's start back at the beginning, the opportunity using your audience data. It's very valuable, the audience that you have, and so how does it get best monetized? Obviously, on-site, you've got the benefits of all of your upsell options and your depth products, but when that audience has then left, now there's a new revenue model and a performance-enhancing product to be able to drive better engagement, obviously, like I mentioned before, broader reach in terms of your listings to these audiences that are in market, but where they're spending most of their time, and a lot of that is actually off your site. Also, when we talk to the realtors, because we have a direct-to-agent model as well, when we talk to realtors in different markets or the agents or agencies, A lot of them will actually be already running some of their own campaigns in social media or search and driving audiences to their own site, building their own brand. But a lot of them will say to us, look, we don't know if what we're doing is right. We're experts in selling property. We're not experts in digital marketing. And if we have a look at some of the statistics, according to like a 2024 survey, 90% of real estate agents are using Facebook, followed by 52% Instagram, 48% on LinkedIn. And an interesting stat was that 71% of buyers say they're more likely to work with an agent that has a strong social media presence. But often those people that are talking to the agents are not actually looking after or looking for their social media profile. So that's where these off-site campaigns can actually get to those in-market audiences and get them to convert. In terms of the amount of time we spend online, we spend over 150 hours online per month now. But on any one site, and if you have a look at your session duration in your Google Analytics, you might have an average session duration of 15 minutes for someone that's actively searching for property. Even if it's 30 or 40 minutes on site over that month, when we actually compare that to the other 149 hours that I'm spending online, now what we can do is take relevant listings to them wherever they are online on whatever device across all their browsing activity, not just when they're actively searching for that small amount of time on site. And it's not all about just Facebook and Google. There's lots of other channels. So in terms of coverage, can be social, programmatic displays. That's all the news and information sites, native, Google Ads, obviously, video, but also other channels like the Microsoft ecosystem. Quite a broad DSP, demand-side platform that we can also allocate some media to, and it has some industry sort of leading AI, as I'm sure you're all aware, and also being able to run those campaigns across other channels that are not just the Facebook and Googles. So this is potentially how your agents may be spending now with you, with a competitor in market. They also might be running some of their own campaigns, again, social media, search, etc. And essentially how they should be spending is taking that, you taking a bigger share of wallet, have them allocate those funds to you. The benefit is you can overlay your audience data with audiences that they can't go and buy directly on any of these channels. The only way they can get that is through you. Again, as I mentioned, a new revenue stream, but also for every listing that gets promoted, when that person comes back and starts a new session back on site, you will see up to 6 other listings that someone will look at while they're back on site. So for every listing that you're selling and making new revenue, not only is there a performance enhancement on that listing, there's also performance enhancing on other listings that you also have on site. So you get that multiplier effect that's coming to you as a portal. So what does it look like in terms of some of that automation and the solution in terms of that? So our platform, Looper Automate, does a number of different things. So we can track your audiences. We have a script down on site. That script can then create all those audience segments based on very individual, unique properties. So whether it's based on the location, the price range, the property type, the size of home, bedrooms, bathrooms, car spaces, all that different metadata can then be segmented to create very, very specific audience segments to then show other listings that they haven't seen from your site that have paid to be boosted. So again, it's that revenue stream when those users are off-site, now exposing them to that broader reach that I mentioned earlier. So the system itself is all API driven. There's nothing for anyone to log into. Obviously the agents are busy doing what they do best, which is selling the property. This is a one-click solution, so we integrate with the portal, and again, there's no work required from the agents in terms of having to try and run these campaigns or log in and create anything. The system, as we mentioned, and obviously the theme behind a lot of what you've heard over the last couple of days is all about AI. So as you can see, there is some AI components starting to come in. And I was talking to Simon earlier, and there's essentially 2 sides. One's the AI for the content creation and the way that the ads actually present themselves, and the other side of the AI is really about the data play and understanding who do we show it to and what's those performance metrics across the different channels when we're running campaigns, not just in one channel, but across 3 or 4 or 5 channels at a time. So essentially, it can be integrated into your site directly. It can be integrated in a CRM. We have a non-integrated model where you don't do any integration. So there's lots of different options depending on how your business model works and how your site works, and also whether agents are actually coming to your site directly to place listings, or whether it's all getting fed in by third-party CRMs. In terms of packages, again, they're all customisable to your market. You can have small, medium, large, gold, silver, bronze. You can have different package options that span both ends of the spectrum. In amongst those changes, you can change packages, you can change channels, you can change duration of those campaigns, and we sort of guide you through that as well if you're running any of those campaigns. The system dynamically is creating the ads based on the individual audience segments that it's being shown to. So what I see will be totally different to what someone else sees, because it's really based on my search intent and where I'm looking for property, what price range, and all of those other attributes I mentioned earlier. The dynamic templates are all different. They're all on brand. Some of the AI component in the system as well allows them to auto color code for that individual agency or agent, so it matches with their colour scheme as opposed to just being a pure marketplace brand only. Whether it's developer advertising as well, so it doesn't have to be purely just homes for sale, can be in the developer space. Obviously, as you end up with different price ranges within a development, the system can intuitively look for different audience segments, because a penthouse at $6 million is clearly a different audience to a one-bedroom, $400,000 property. So again, being able to manipulate that on the fly is what the system can do. So yeah, just another iteration of how the developer campaigns can look. So again, the brand, the way that they operate is very different depending on what that is. So most importantly, what about the results? So we see a broad range of results depending on what those campaigns are. Also depending on the price range of the packages, obviously plays an important part too, and how they're constructed for what you're doing. But to see anywhere from a 50 to 300% increase in the views to the listing, and also up to 290% is what we've seen in terms of inquiry uplift, then is obviously significant. So this is, again, very meaningful, significant uplifts in terms of results to those listings by engaging those audiences in a lot of these channels where, again, a lot of us spend the majority of our time. What's interesting as well is a lot of the data is showing that some of these campaigns, 85% of the people that are exposed to these campaigns have never seen that listing before. So again, this is not a frequency play. This is not about showing the same person the same property 10 times like a general retargeting platform. This is about getting broader reach and finding new customers and new buyers, and also trying to upfront some of that performance metric just as that property lists, rather than dragging it out for a long period of time. Also, the campaigns can extend beyond just purely for buyer leads for listings, but also try agent campaigns for seller leads. So this is obviously driving, I guess, the engagement and essentially like a digital billboard for that individual agent in their local PMA, in their local area, saying, I'm the expert in this area. If you want to sell your property, sell through me. So again, this is across a broad range of what you may be offering, and that would essentially be rolling monthly packages and driving them to like an agent finder section or something like that. So that is it for my presentation. Yeah, open to questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Okay, so gee, got a lot of questions on this one. What goes through my mind is, and I'm going to wrap up AI with this, if you want to just move around here a little bit. Right. If we think of marketing efficiency and effectiveness, and I'm not going to think about AI from a consumer perspective, but from an agent advertising perspective. And I have a view that just as we have these AI agents emerging to help consumers look, there'll be AI agents emerge that help agents market properties. And how do you think your solution will sort of blend into that? Because at the end of the day, social is a channel to market for a listing, or for an agent to get a listing to then generate inquiry. So if you have an AI agent for a real estate agent, and you say, here's a property, okay, and it leverages some of the technology we've already seen today. It just takes the listing, it goes fantastic. I look at this listing, I'll create all the creative.
Yep.
I'll then go, wait, this listing is going to go very well with a young married couple about to have a kid, right? And I go, well, where do they normally look? Well, they don't really search as much on a traditional platform. They may be searching more on Facebook or somewhere else. How do you think about your solution blending into that world?
Yeah, I mean, good question. So for us, we can leverage off some of the other platforms you've seen that's more agent in terms of preparing the agent for market. Some of those smarts that might come out where the photos, like the images, might be manipulated and things like that. As they go to site, we get the benefit of that as well. So obviously the campaigns will take that component. In terms of our intelligent logic for the audiences, what our system does in the middleware is basically optimizes for where the best performance is coming from that property. So you might have 5 different channels, and as you mentioned, in terms of if you've got this target audience that's younger and it's on TikTok or it's somewhere else rather than the traditional Facebooks or Instagrams, then it will automatically then apply more of that budget to that location because that's where the leads are being generated. If that's what we're measuring, if we're measuring it on a lead basis, which is ideally what we want to be doing here, getting inquiry up, as opposed to it being purely on traffic.
How do you work out the target demographic for a listing?
So the system will automatically, especially if we're using your first-party data from the marketplace, the system will pick up all the people that are looking for that exact location, price range, size of home. So it doesn't, that component of it, we're actually pulling from the portal. What actually happens off the back of that in terms of finding more customers, we have a system that does auto lookalike segments. So it'll pick up those audiences, and then it'll actually say, well, who else can we go and find that's very similar to those that are also currently in market looking for property? And it won't necessarily be people that have already come to your site. That'll be people that are going to other property sites, and whether that might be agent direct sites as well, and then that data is then coming back into the targeting.
Okay, but you're fundamentally reliant on the source portal for the lookalike data.
If they want, there are some of our portal partners that have no scripts down. They might be in Europe, GDPR. They're very pressure, very in a pressure cooker environment where they don't want any of that for some reason. So then it'll be purely prospecting. So that's us going, obviously going directly for them.
Right, because you've got to really work out who's actually buying this sort of property to generate the leads, rather than just generating any lead.
Yes, correct. Yes, correct.
Okay,
Exactly.
what's the difference between Salesforce, Pardo, and etc., and Looper Automate?
Yeah, I mean, can't recall all the Pardo features, although I'm quite familiar with it historically. I don't know if they've changed, but essentially a lot of these platforms, and whether it's a Pardo or a general retargeting platform, it could be a Criteo, an AdRoll, there's RTB houses. There's lots of general retargeting platforms. This has been uniquely set up specifically for property, and obviously understanding that it's not a general retargeting play like when you go to an e-commerce site and look at a shirt and then you get retargeted with that shirt. This is about understanding who that customer is, price ranges, like I mentioned, location, size of home, very, very deep attributes in this space, and then obviously finding more of those customers, but exposing them to a broader range of listings from the site. Yeah.
Okay. What is the risk of hyper-targeting, missing an outlier who would have benefited from a particular ad? Or is this just an edge case that doesn't really come into the picture?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I mean, I think with the budget, because the budgets are typically only going to a small proportion of the relevant audiences, again, you can, in a bundled package, you can have a combination of first-party data, your audience data, plus auto lookalikes and prospecting all mixed in. So often in terms of, if you were exhausting the full market and then you needed to go broader, that I guess this would come into play. But because this is laser targeted in terms of who we're going after, typically it probably doesn't really come into the picture because the budget just doesn't extend to the full audience suite that we could go after.
Yeah, but it does raise an interesting question when you think about it. If I'm selling a pair of jeans, then I want to get to the most number of people possible because I can sell 1,000 versions of a pair of jeans.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so an outlier in that case is someone who wants a pair of jeans but just doesn't know you exist. But they sort of want a pair of jeans, so they need something to wear. There's one house and there's one buyer.
Correct.
Right, and so therefore it's not about the question is the probability that that outlier is a person who would pay more for the property than the people who are proactively searching for the property. And there's probably a very low chance that that's going to be the case. It's like, oh, yeah, Ed, oh yeah, I didn't think about buying a house.
Yeah.
I'll be the top bidder. I don't think that's going to work. So I don't think in this instance where you've got one, it's not like 100 pairs of jeans, it's one house, one version of that house that you're selling.
Yeah, no, that's right. And we also have a performance agency, like I mentioned in the presentation, which goes after direct people that are looking to buy that particular product. And again, it's still very specific because there might be all of us that are looking for a pair of pants, but it might not be those exact pair. So we're after the people that want that pair, not any pair.
Yeah.
So that's the difference.
Which I think is a different use case. So
It is.
last question, what is your cut?
So happy for you to chat to me after. Essentially, it's percentage based. It's based on the media spend, not based on what you sell to the customer. So it's basically a cost plus model. We have the media spend. Our basically piece sits on top, and you charge your customer from there. So it all comes out of new revenue. Essentially, it's basically a sliding scale depending on how much you spend. So that's essentially the answer without me going through all the percentages. But I'm happy to talk to you after the stand if you want to chat to me about that.
Okay.
Yep.
One last question from me, because a question about AI would be pretty appropriate. How do you think, from your perspective, the changes you're seeing with AI or the potential changes being driven by AI could impact your business? Is there a risk? Is there a risk for your business because of the way AI is going?
I mean, we've probably seen it as an opportunity in terms of the performance and the analysis of the data is only going to get better, and we're not exploiting, all of that at the moment. That's obviously coming. So I think there's probably a big upside with AI coming in that it's only going to make the campaigns perform better. The actual, also just things aesthetically, like we were talking about with those, the different searches that are changing, the way we're searching is changing. But also if you actually want to now look for a particular style of home, a particular look of the home, then it'll be able to look for images that look similar to something. At the moment, it's more about where you're located, like I mentioned before, price range, size, but it's not about aesthetics. So some of those aesthetic things I think will start to come through as the AI and the learning and things get better as well. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
Cheers.